All right, well, good morning, everybody. My name is John Morgan. I'm the Dean for the School of Career and Technical Education, and we just want to welcome you virtually this year to our Freeport Moran Yavapai College Mining Preview Day. We hope you're excited about finding out what this program is about. It's a program that's been with us now for about 13 years. It's produced a couple of hundred people that have gone to work and had very successful careers with Freeport. I think one of the cool things about this is it's really rare when a company steps up and offers what Freeport does. And in this particular case, what they offer is paid training and tuition and books, and we're going to be talking at length about that when we go a little bit forward. I think from a personal standpoint, for me, I have 4 members of my family who have gone through this program and on to very successful careers. So it's something I truly have a passion for and believe. I think you'll find our instructors have that same passion, and everybody that touches this program. I want to make some introductions really quick this morning before we get started of some important people that you're going to be dealing with, provided that you're selected to get into this program. First, I want to introduce Stephanie Wilcher. And Stephanie is our Yavapai College employee that's the liaison to this, and you will deal with her with quite a bit of things, including just kind of getting into the program to begin with on the Yavapai College side, and also your registration each semester. She's kind of there to ride herd on everybody and make sure that they're doing good things as they go. We have Theresa Price from Freeport, and she's the HR representative. You'll also be dealing with Theresa quite a bit as we go through the program here for various issues as they pertain to Freeport and progress in the program. We have Mr. Frank Ochoa, and Frank has joined us in the last couple of years. We're really glad to have him on board. He is also with Freeport, and he is a driving force in keeping this program afloat and has some great ideas on where we're going with things lately. So we're glad to have Frank there. We have a couple of people responsible behind the scenes today for just putting this together. You think this stuff is just bang, bang, but it actually takes a lot to get this stuff virtual. So Wendy Present from Yavapai College has helped us a lot. We appreciate that. Zach Weigel, he's off camera right now, but he's running things behind the scenes today. And I wanted to make sure you guys know that we are recording this. So we'll have a link available of it if you want to come back and watch it or anything like that. If you missed something as we go through this, we'll have that link available. We'll also be pushing this out to some people who wanted to be in this today and who couldn't attend. I also want to introduce some other folks that are very important for you. Some of the most important people you're going to get to know would be our professors for the programs. So from the diesel program, we have Professor Ed Kessel. You want to wave, Ed? Ed's been with us for several years now, and again runs the diesel program, which we're going to talk at length about shortly. We have Professor Rick Peters, who runs the electrical and instrumentation program. You'll get to deal with Mr. Peters a lot virtually because he's one of the unique professors that actually lives in a different state and teaches via robots and everything else in this program, even though you'll still be coming into the lab if that's a program you get into. So unique thing, but we've taken advantage of some really cool technology to have Professor Peters with us. We also have Professor Charles Allman. He came from the Freeport system, actually back when it was Phelps Dodge at its inception before it was bought out by Freeport. And Chuck really knows the mining industry well. He spent many years there before he ever came to us. And he's one that teaches the industrial plant maintenance program, advanced manufacturing, jack of all trades kind of person, good guy to know. We also have Jim Voska. Jim is our career coach. So he's another one that you'll get to meet very early on in a class this summer. It's a career and professional development class. So these people are kind of the key people that will be helping you through this progress over the next couple of years here, provided you're a successful candidate. So with that, what I want to do is bring up a presentation and start talking to you a little bit more detail about what the program entails. And then we'll be punting it over to some different people. The way this is going to work today, just so you know, is you'll hear a little bit from myself and Theresa first about the program in general. And then we'll be having Ms. Stephanie come in and talk to you about some things that you're going to have to do on the admissions end for the college end of it. Then we'll be putting you into 3 breakout sessions. They're consecutive sessions. We'd like you to make sure that you go through all 3 of them And those will be each of our professors kind of showing you their labs and talking you through a little bit about what their programs entail kind of in detail. Then we'll pull it back together again and kind of wrap up with any more questions you may have, kind of a final word, and we'll get this process going. So again, thank you for joining us today, and I'll go ahead and get going now on the presentation. All right, can you all see my screen with PowerPoint on it? Very good. Okay. All right, so again, this is the mining technical program at Yavapai College. We're going to talk to you a little bit about how the program goes first. So it begins actually this summer. So over the next 3 months, there's a fairly lengthy process that requires you to go through admissions at Yavapai College, and then interview process with Freeport. When you're selected into that, you become an employee of theirs as well as Yavapai College student. We started in the summer. You have to take an evening class, which is a work keys class, and that just gives you some preparedness for coming into college. We want to make sure that you're successful with this and that you have a good understanding of what the expectations are. So there's a class that's held one night a week this summer, and you need to pass that class, obviously, and then be eligible to actually enter the program in the mine beginning in August. The programs that we deal with are diesel technology, so very heavy equipment and all kinds of both small and large diesel type equipment that are down in the mine. And so those techs are responsible for the repair and maintenance of those. Electrical instrumentation is a very robust program. It deals from everything from microcircuitry to very large scale, high voltage things. You'll hear much more about that a little bit later. Also has some programming in it as well. And then what we call our advanced manufacturing is Freeport's industrial plant maintenance. And these are folks who kind of a Jack and Jane of all trades. They maintain virtually all kinds of equipment outside of the diesel and electrical realms, which are the other two. So the main thing that we're doing here is we're trying to develop a workforce that allows for better retention with the company, that allows for them to get an apprenticeship at the same time. We find this to be the best model that we have in the college, where you get your education as part of this, and you're doing an apprenticeship at the same time. What we know that it produces on the other end is a very good employee. Freeport approached us, 14 years ago now, because they had just a critical shortage of technically trained people in the workforce. That really hasn't changed. As a matter of fact, it's getting more and more difficult to find people with technical skills in the industry right now. So they've hung with us for a great many years here. And again, we believe that over time, there's been some tremendous employees that have promoted up and are at all different levels within the company now that have gone through this program. So initially, when we started this, Freeport came to us, and we didn't even have a building for it. But the college was looking to expand our technical programs. So we got lucky, and it's too bad you can't be with us today, but virtual will do. We were able to buy a building from Ruger Firearms. Ruger Firearms had tried to diversify a little bit and go into making golf clubs and titanium hammers and things like that didn't go well with them. So they closed that portion of the business down, and they had a 108,000 square foot building at the airport in Prescott that we were able to pick up for a very, very good price. And it's very hard to get that kind of square footage for what we paid for it. And on the front end, Freeport came to us and said, we need these programs. And so everything kind of came together at the same time. We were able to get a very large building, start these programs. And the first year, Freeport came forward and they helped us pay for the faculty. And they also gave us a lot of equipment to start these programs, in addition to scholarshiping the students, paying for the apprenticeship part of this program as well. So this is a 2-year program, which leads to an Associate of Applied Science degree in any of the 3 areas that we mentioned already here. It's a combination of classroom and paid job training to get there. The nice thing about it is when you get done with this, you essentially are debt free, which is a very good thing if you think of the cost of colleges now. So that's some of the huge benefits. Plus, you get the training that puts you well above your peers in terms of what's needed to get into the workforce nowadays. So here's what we do. We have a kind of a team that has oversight of this. We have a team, the Yavapai side, as well as a team that Frank deals with and Theresa deals with. And we monitor your performance. How are you doing in the mine while you go through this? How are you doing with your grades here? The expectation is that you'll do well. And you have to understand that it's very rare that a company comes forward and offers programs like this. So essentially you're going to school on someone else's dime, and you need to make sure that you treat that appropriately, meaning you have to put in the efforts required to get through this program here. They help us review a curriculum. We have members on our advisory boards to each program that have Freeport employees on them in those areas, and they make sure that our curriculum is current. A lot of information sharing goes back and forth when we do this so that we can stay current with what Freeport's doing as well. We review the performance of our instructors. And the criteria then for the scholarships and who's selected, that is Freeport. So once again, when you apply to them as a second part of this process, they will determine eligibility for interview and bring you in, and they'll be speaking to that shortly. Once approved, then essentially the program begins. And so that's really where it is. Freeport has done a lot with us again over the course of the years. We continue to get equipment from them as needed. They've done a lot for the college, even outside of this. They've funded many college initiatives that we have. So they are a key player and one of the largest employers in Yavapai County. Also in Yavapai County, one of the good things about Freeport is we know that they have the highest wages in the county overall in the aggregate. So that tells you a lot about this company. Their wages, their benefits are all very good, very competitive here in Yavapai County. So again, it's 2 years. It's a 2-year program here. It goes through the summer in some areas where you still have to take a class, and sometimes 2 in the summer, depending on the program that you're in. We combine our instruction with what goes on in the field work there, which is, again, the best of both worlds. You're going to get some hands-on with us at the college and some theoretical, but down there you actually be doing the job so you can apply the knowledge back and forth. And again, we truly believe that is the best model that's out there right now. You'll be starting again in August. Safety is just a top priority for Freeport, but I want to tell you that we work with a lot of companies. We see none better as far as safety standards than Freeport. We think they're very much the leaders in this area, and that's to keep their employees safe and everyone who's affiliated with both the program, especially when you're on the job site there. You'll have to go to an MSHA training a week before school starts in August. And MSHA is a training that provides you with all the safety attributes you'll need to have while you're on the job site at the mine. You'll get a little certification that goes with that at the end of it, and then you're eligible to enter the mine to do work. So to be eligible for this, you have to have either a high school diploma or a GED from an accredited institution. You have to meet our admissions criteria. Our admissions are open admissions, so you shouldn't really have any problem in getting into Yavapai College. By state law, we're open admissions, so we don't really turn people away. You have to be 18 by the time the job starts. So if you're just getting ready to graduate high school and you're still 17 this summer, as long as you turn 18 by August 15th, you're eligible for the program. If you don't turn 18, unfortunately, they can't allow you to work in that realm until you do. So that's something that's critical on when your 18th birthday is, if you're just graduating from high school. And I know we have several people today registered from high schools on this. And the expectation is that while you're in the program, you'll maintain a minimum 2.0 GPA. So that's a C average. It's very doable if you do what you're supposed to be doing. If you keep up with your work, it shouldn't be a problem. What we typically find in the program is when people drop off grade-wise, it's really just because they're not keeping up with the work that they need to do. It's still incumbent upon you to do the work. We have mechanisms built in to try to help you through it, but that is typically on the college side of it. That's the biggest stumbling block, is when people just aren't getting the classwork done. So again, someone's paying for your education here. That is a huge thing in this day and age. And we just expect you, if you're selected for the program, to put the effort in, because you owe Freeport to give them that effort, since they're paying for your education. And you owe it to yourself to step forward and be the good people that we know that you can be. So first thing you have to do is you're going to go through an applications process, and Stephanie will speak to that a little bit later in the presentation. But you go through our admissions. It doesn't take more than 30 minutes. If you're already a student, you would not need to do that. If you're already a Yavapai student, and we know some of you are in programs already, that doesn't take more than 30 minutes. You'll be provided with a link coming up in the second part of this, which is applying for the Maintenance Intern 1 position. So we'll be sending you out a link, and it'll be at fmjobs.com. You have to make sure that you go for the Maintenance Intern 1 position. Now remember, this will be saved. You'll also be getting some emails from the college to remind you of this. There you're applying to be an employee with Freeport. Okay. We're hoping to have that up in the next few days. Now, in the meantime, we're going to continue to send you some email messages, and pay attention to those, because they will tell you what you need to be doing and what you need to be looking for. If you miss our deadlines, you're out. That is one of the first mechanisms for us to see how serious you are about the program. So you have to pay attention to what the deadlines are, because you can't come back to us a week after the deadline and say, oh, gee, I forgot, or whatever the case may be. That is one of the first things we look at, and Freeport looks at, in terms of how serious you are about competing to become a part of this program here. So make sure you don't miss those, okay? Once you have done your Freeport application, then they will let you know if you're qualified, and they'll contact you for an interview. You then go through an interview process with them, just like a normal job. Pretty straightforward interview. And then they'll let you know if you've been picked up. So you have to understand, this is both work and college in there. I see, is that Luis? Luis, do you have a question? I see your hand up there. Okay. Maybe you're just waving at me. All right. So after, again, you complete your summer course this summer, and they'll give you a physical at that point, which is required for the job. And then you'd get your offer, and off you go. So pretty straightforward as far as how you get in. But again, I want to reiterate, you need to pay attention to what these deadlines are. Those are our first, what we call our SIFT points. And SIFT points are points where people don't pay attention, and sometimes they don't get in because of that. But we want you all to be in there and compete for these things. So in the program, you'll have personal protective equipment, hard hats that Baghdad will provide for you, safety glasses. Again, they're furnished by the mine. If you're an E&I, you have to have specialized uniforms for that. And then what you would need to provide is your own steel-toed safety boots if you get selected in there. If you're selected for the program, what you need to pay attention to, again, is attendance, and C grades are better. We do look at your attendance. You're expected to be at work when you're supposed to be, and you're expected to be on site in class when you're supposed to be. If you fail a class, the way it works is you have to repeat that class, but it's at your own expense. So they're not going to pay for you to take a class twice, okay? You have to abide by all of Baghdad's policies, and I'm going to give a minute here to allow Theresa and Frank to speak to some of this before we go any farther in terms of some of the Freeport expectations. So Theresa and Frank, if you want to weigh in right now, is a good time.
John, you had Luis text or chatted his question there.
Okay.
Oh.
And I just answered his question.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Luis's question was that he is already a current FMI employee, and would he have to apply again? Yes, you would have to apply to this program if you are a current employee. So once again, I am Theresa. I am the HR generalist for this program, and then on the line with us is Frank Ochoa. So Frank, if you need to jump in if I miss anything or you want to add. So what we're looking for are very committed and dedicated participants for this program. you are going to school, you are working. So we really need people that are dedicated and that are taking this program very seriously. I'm going to talk about 3 different topics: the hiring process, the internship and on-the-job training overview, and then what the internship's going to provide for you. So, and some of this is going to be repeated what John had said, but just kind of wanted to go over it again. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to apply for that maintenance intern 1 position. It will be posted this week, and once it is, you guys will get an email letting you know that it's open. You're going to go in and you're going to apply for it. Our recruiters in Phoenix do all of the screening, so that is the first step. They're going to screen you, make sure that you meet our qualifications. And that one of the main ones is that you will be 18. The dates kind of changed. So this year it's going to be, I need you to be 18 by August 2nd, because that is when we are going to be starting the orientation here on site. So just know that you do need to be 18 by August 2nd. If the recruiters push you through, then you'll be scheduled for an interview. We do have an interview panel. It includes our supervisors from each of the areas. Sometimes we have our superintendents there. I am usually in on all those interviews, and Frank is. So it is a panel interview. So just know that you're going to have a minimum of 5 people sitting there asking you questions. If you're selected as one of our participants, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put you into background. You are becoming an FMI employee, so we have to do background checks along with our physical and drug and alcohol screening. That is part of the requirements of becoming an FMI employee. So you do have to get through all of those processes. We will give you a contingent offer after your background, and we've set your compensation. And once again, that contingent offer is set on you passing our physical and drug and alcohol. Once we receive everything all back, we notify Stephanie, we let her know, and then she's going to get you signed up for that summer class. You do have to pass that summer class in order to keep going on with the program. Our orientation, like I said, is going to be on August 2nd, and that is a whole week of orientation in Baghdad. You have a whole day with orientation with me. That's Monday. Tuesday through Thursday, you're doing fundamentals of safety, which is our MSAW training. And then on Friday, you're actually going out to your site where you're going to be working, meeting your coworkers and your supervisors, so you have an idea of what's going on out there. And then we've also backed it up a little, and depending on how Yavapai College's schedule works. Last year, what we did is we brought everybody in a whole week earlier to have the orientation, and then the following week they were able to actually kind of get familiar, work out at site for those 2 days, and then they started college. So we'll have to kind of play and see where when you guys actually start for the fall, and then to see if we'll have time for you to do that. Internship and on-the-job training. 2-year program. The way it works is that you guys are going to rotate to different areas when you're assigned to that area. An example is if you are going for a fixed plant degree, you're going to rotate through the mill. You're going to rotate through the CLP. You're going to go through our SXEW and our tailings departments.
Oh,
Yeah, looks like we lost her.
I think we lost her. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead, Frank.
She sent me her itinerary. So yeah, so you would go through the hydromet department, mill department, CLP, tailings, and the mill. She did talk. It is a 2-year program. That's where we were at. So you'll be working 2 days a week. First year's work Thursdays and Fridays. Second years will work Tuesdays and Wednesdays on site, and then the other days they're in classes. Off days should be spent working on classes. So that I gotta just to stress that, like this guys, this is an opportunity for you guys to get a trade to learn what the working environment is in the mine. It's kind of like an evaluation on, is this what you want to do? You know, tradesmen are hard to come by throughout Morenci, Safford, Baghdad, Sarita. I mean, we're always looking for people. So this is like one of the best opportunities that is offered to you guys. I mean, because once you graduate this and you complete, you know, another couple years and get a little more experience under your belt and you're a journeyman, Baghdad is not the only place that needs skilled laborers. There are opportunities for you to transfer, you know, to Morenci, to Safford, to Sarita, Chino. All of our sister sites are always looking for people. This is just a great opportunity to not only for Baghdad, but for the entire company. Just a little side note on myself, like I started off as a haul truck driver and I took advantage of one of the opportunities that Freeport gave, which was an apprenticeship. And you know, I've been in Morenci, I've been in Baghdad. I was actually lucky enough to go to Peru to help commission over there. You know, spent 8 months over there. So just there are opportunities within this. It's just what I always tell my interns and my apprentices is this is your guys' internship. You guys get out of it what you put into it. Dedication, it's you know, you're working 2 days a week. You have 3 days out of the week to get your school studies done and do your academics. But really, you guys drive it. So like if you want to finish this and come out successful at the end, it is on you. We are here as resources to help you. So that's another benefit for you guys. You know, anything that you need, if there's issues, if there's things that we need to shuffle around, you know, Yavapai works with us really well. We have a lot of resources within the company that can help as well. So just, you know, don't be hesitant to reach out if there is issues that arise throughout this if you are a selected candidate.
So Frank, where'd you get to?
Evaluated quarterly. So you guys will be evaluated quarterly, and then if you want to take it from there, Theresa.
Okay, so and I apologize. My system never works right. Well, Frank, if you want, you can go through that one part. Okay, so you started with what the days of the week they're working and everything. You evaluated quarterly, so you will be supervised. Your supervisor will evaluate you quarterly. You must pass all your classes to be promoted to an intern 2 in August. So you started as a first year, you're going to be promoted to a second year in August. And then one of the best things that we started after I started working with this program is towards the end of your second year, we start holding discussions with leadership, and we review and select the outstanding interns and make contingent offers to you before you're even done with the program. So we have it done by spring break. Before you go on spring break of your second year, you are going to know if you are going to be offered a job and be an employee for us when you finish up in May. And then the last part, the section is what we provide for the internship. We're going to pay the cost of your books and tuition. We are going to provide you uniforms. So you do need those special uniforms for the electrical department. We are going to provide those for you. All the other PPE, of course, except for those steel-toed boots. We're also going to provide you a basic set of tools. Every department has a different list, but you all get a basic set of tools. And then we also, for those employees, for those people who live out of Baghdad, we also have a shuttle that will shuttle you back and forth on your days that you have to work. And that is for first years and second years. They meet at the Walmart, the last Walmart on Gail Garner, 4 o'clock in the morning. You guys get on those vans. You travel over to Baghdad, you work, and then they drive you back. So it works out really nice. Frank, can you think of anything that we missed?
Nope, I think we covered it pretty good. Just the only thing, like I said before, the thing I can't stress the most is you guys get out of it what you put into it. So just, there is work that goes in behind this. There's work outside of, working in the mine. You guys are responsible for your academics. that's on you. Like I said, we're here to help, and there's opportunities for people to come out and you guys to reach out and ask us for help. But we don't know if you don't reach out to us. So like I said, it's what you guys want to get out of it, you guys will put into it. So I appreciate you guys joining, and thanks for joining us here.
So Frank,
Theresa, you had a question from Whitney.
Right, and we also had another question from Luis, and I see that right here. So Frank, I'm going to let you help with this one. If you work at FMI, would you and you would do the internship part? Is it after you're done with your first shift? How are we? I think that's in a process of how we're going to figure out that part with our full-time employees. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we are currently working on something for our full-time employees. We're working agile to try to get it so that we can get them in part of this group as well. We're almost there. I just have a couple more things that I need to tighten up, but we're working with Yavapai College on scheduling. So once that comes out, I will, if you're a full-time employee currently with FMI, within the next week to 2 weeks, we will be trying to get this information out to you as well.
Right.
On what our plan is for the future.
Perfect. And then Whitney has a question on, and do you have to take the van or can you drive? It's optional for you. If you want to drive, 4 o'clock in the morning over here on those roads and avoiding cows and everything, you're more than welcome to do that. We do encourage you to use the van. It is free. We use Groom. They are awesome. They really work well with you guys on making sure that you're here on time. But yes, you can always drive yourself if that's what you'd like to do.
Okay. Well, thank you, Frank and Theresa. So we're going to keep rolling now and pick up the rest of this in terms of just some more things. So you've already pretty much seen this. You're 20 hours per week in your internship, 2 days out at the mine and 3 days in class. Sometimes 2, because a lot of people now are starting to pick up some of the gen eds online. It just depends on how it gets scheduled. So it doesn't mean you always are on our campus, but for the most part, you will be for all your technical classes. You have to come on campus for those. But no, we will tell you this, that if you opt into gen eds, taking them online, make dang sure you know that everybody thinks online is easy. It's not. There's a lot of work online. You really can't lean on anybody else, like in groups and stuff like that. You're kind of on your own. And if you know that you are not good at, paying attention to stuff and when it's due, things like that, then online is probably not the best option for you in those gen eds. We are still in the orange mode in Yavapai College, but we should be, by the time this starts in the fall, we fully expect to be on ground again. But we just want to caution you, if you take online, fine, but we expect that you'll do well in it. And quite often people take online thinking it's going to be easier, but it actually isn't, especially if you lack discipline on times to turn things in and things like that. Okay. So this stuff she's already pretty much mentioned, so I'm going to just keep right on going now and get into more of the program stuff. So back here. So diesel is one of those we talked about. They pretty much have Caterpillar equipment down there. It's very, very large stuff. I had one of my sons go through this program. He's gone on to do really good things in his career. So it's big, heavy stuff. If you like that and cool stuff, I mean, they have some of the largest haul trucks in the world anywhere, then diesel's it. So it's everything from haul trucks to bulldozers, everything in between, 3/4 ton, medium heavy diesel engines. So very good program. If you're afraid of big things, probably not the program for you, because you can see by the picture there that tire is huge compared to that person. But diesel, very strong thing. We go through a Caterpillar curriculum. We do some Cummins stuff as well in there. So a good, strong program. 64 credits. You do have to take a summer class in diesel because we run our AC air conditioning classes in the summer. It makes sense for us to run it in the summer because that's when people are going to need it. And you can see some courses there, hydraulics, pneumatics, fuels. It's pretty much bumper to bumper as far as what you're going to learn there. Drive chains, transmissions, computer controls, electronics, all of that is part of You also have welding classes in there that you're going to have to take, and rigging if you're in diesel. Electrical instrumentation. This is kind of everything that has to do with electricity on it. Everything down from microelectronics. There's programming that's involved in it. Programmable logic controllers are in it. There is very large electric motors. So again, electrical E&I runs the gamut. There's automation, process controls. There is a tremendous amount of this in any industry now. There's so much automation. That's what these techs have to do is maintain the plant on the electrical side of it. It's a rigorous program. You'll learn more about that when Professor Peters talks to you about it in just a minute here. So that one has 60 credit hours in it. You learn AC/DC, process controls, microprocessors. You can see the list here, digital circuits. You have to take some computer courses in that one. Hydraulics, pneumatics, rigging. Everybody kind of has to take a few courses that overlap between all three of the program areas. But just understand that this one, academically, this one has some pretty good rigor in it. But if you come out of this one successfully, sky's the limit on where you can go with it. Very, very good, strong program. All of our programs have extremely experienced instructors right now. You can see they're all, I have no hair, but they all have gray hair. But that's a good thing because they know their stuff. And I really enjoy working with all three we have there. They really, truly are experts at what they do and will help you. The third one then is our industrial plant technician, industrial maintenance. That program has been modified over the last 3 years extensively now. So it includes quite a little bit, but essentially what those folks do is they maintain all equipment on the plant that's not electrical or not diesel related. So you got a picture of the grind lines down there on the right. You have conveyance systems up on the left there. It's a little bit of everything all across the mine there. And again, that's the kind of a Jack and Jane of all trades. Very diverse set of skills. So if you're a person who wants to do something different every day, then this is the area for you, because certainly what they do is very broad and diverse down in the mine. 62 credit hours. It has industrial shop, hydraulics, pneumatics, CNC machining was added a couple years ago. It has computer-aided drafting in it, pumps, valves, bulk materials. You get to fabricate, weld, a little bit of everything in there again. So if you're a type of person who really likes diverse every day, then this is a good area for you to do. And we have a great instructor. So this is just some pictures of students at school and work. Again, you work on big things. You look at the gearing down below there on the right. It's not like your typical gears in your transmission in your car. It's all big scale stuff. Freeport's a global company. They've got a great reputation. We're really pleased to be working with them. They've been really good to work with over the years, and our job is to help them get a workforce. So one thing I will tell you guys is this. You've probably been led to believe your whole career that you need to get a bachelor's, master's, PhD to be successful in life. We will tell you that that's not factually correct at all. The data doesn't support that. It's just stuff that you're told, and it's not really true. What we do know is roughly 70% of the nation's jobs are technical. They pay very well. There was an interesting study done by USA Today where they compared the technical skills jobs in the United States to baccalaureates, and the wages far outpace baccalaureate jobs in the United States. So that's something you need to understand. But you've been conditioned to think since you were very tiny that you need to get a bachelor's degree to be successful, and it isn't true. When you get into Freeport, you may find that if you want to promote up into some things, you may need a little more education. But all I'm telling you is that seeing as I have 4 family members that have done this, I have a high level of education behind me, and I can assure you that the debt that came with that was high. And they do just as well as I do financially, and they're much younger than I am, obviously. So that's something to think about. It's just very good opportunity in the skilled trades in the United States. And unfortunately, people have kind of set it over here on the side, and it's wrong because it really is where the bulk of the jobs are in the United States, and you can do well. And that's what we want to make sure that you understand. You can do very well financially and benefits and all that goes with it. All right, so I'm going to wrap up my part. I got to turn it over to Stephanie quickly for hers, and then we're going to kick you into the professor. So, Steph.
Okay, greetings, welcome. So see this? This is who you're going to be running to all the time for all the reasons you might need anything. And I may not always be the guy, but I know the guy. So please come to see me once you're chosen all the time. Please, 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 and you will stay on the right track. You know, sadly, we've had some interns that have tried to self-advise and try to wing it, and it just didn't work out. Certainly we would get them across the finish line, but it might take longer than they expected. So just know that this mining internship is not a program that you can just register for at Yavapai College. Just reevaluating that Freeport selects who my cohort's going to be, and then I start working with you. We do have a progression plan for each of these. And what that means is it's a set of classes that you take each semester so you don't get lost. I work very closely with Jen Zimmerman, who is our in-house advisor. So at that, just remember, you have an advisor here at the CTech campus. Don't let that be an issue for you to wonder who, what, where, and why. Come here to Jen Zimmerman. She and I work things out. Now, regarding the progression plan, you hear 64 hours, 62 hours, 60 hours. That sounds rather crushing, but it isn't, because if you think about it, you're spreading that over 5 semesters. So the classes are divided evenly, so you are not feeling the weight and the crush of academics. When we go through that, then I help choose classes for you all to enroll into. What do I mean by that? Your advisor gives me what classes that should be taking. I then go and research instructors that I think you would fit the best with. And I also, for the diesel, for the IMM, for the E&I try and group you all together in classes so you can help each other and work together and have your own small study group. So we've got that going for us. So please, once you're chosen, get ready. Get with me on that, because I will help you with classes. I send out what my suggestions are. If you've got some changes or questions about classes, let me know. We can help that. Now, there is a summer in between year 1 and year 2. And Mr. Morgan touched on the fact that diesel has a class there. Sometimes we use that summer for those of you that after your first semester or 2 couldn't take all the classes comfortably to pass through those 2 semesters. We can make that up in that summer, getting you through to the finish line. Before you know it, if you stay on track and stay on the progression plan, you will have an associate's degree paid for. Now, that's really a nice foundation to work off going forward in your life. And I'm going to tell you, just a sidestep, Freeport, having paid for these interns for going on 14 years now, I can tell you that we have 100% placement of all the students that graduate. What do I mean by that? Freeport can't always pick you up. Sometimes times shift and needs shift. And so at the end of your graduation and whatever, they may not have an opportunity for you. But as to Dean Morgan's point, we have had no problem with students being placed in other companies with the fact that they've gone through and gotten their associates and worked for Freeport for 2 years. Sure, Freeport wants to recover you and keep you, but sometimes that's not always an option. So I saw that Theresa talked about uniforms, transportation, our progression plan. If you come to us as an intern with having taken classes that may have you in what is quantified as maybe a second year, first semester in the progression plan, you are still, though, a first year with Freeport McMoran. And your movement within and out within those parameters solely depends on how Freeport wants to quantify you. But first rattle out of the box, if you come to us this August and you have other core classes behind you on that, you are still considered a first year, and Freeport will work with you on that. Freeport does not pay for housing. They got your back on everything else. They do not pay for housing. I will tell you, and Theresa, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. I do recommend that you do take the van. Mr. Dean Morgan can talk about this with one of his sons chose to drove a bit, and every now and again he got jammed up. You don't get reimbursed for travel or gas. So the van you can sleep on, do homework on, so on and so forth, and you're collected. People know where you are.
I just want to, what she means by jammed up is he got many traffic tickets in Skull Valley to the point where I told him he might as well just write the Skull Valley Police Department a check every month. So just, that's what she's talking about there.
So once we get you enrolled into classes, I also get the books for you. If you buy your own books, that's on your dime, and that's perfectly acceptable. However, Freeport is very generous with getting books for you. They, even if there's some extra books for classes that might be necessary, that's never been an issue. That's never been a problem. They don't buy your papers and pencils, because even if you weren't in the program, you'd have to buy those yourself. But they get your books for you, and that is a great opportunity. So that might be something else you want to think about. What else, guys, as far as the student side? What am I missing? Oh, here's a big one. Here's a big one, guys. Miss Stephanie, Miss Theresa, and Frank Ochoa all talk to each other all year long about our students. So there's been times when we've heard different versions of certain situations. And just so that you know, we all talk to each other. Our goal is to make you finish. Oh, here's a good one. So if you stay with your progression plan and stay in contact with us, if you have problems, we're all willing to help and figure out a way. You, at the end of these 5 semesters, can participate in Yavapai College graduation. That's huge for you and your family. You can walk across the stage in a cap and gown and receive your associates. And that's just a no-brainer. It's just going to come to you in 5 semesters, and it's going to be a really nice reward at the end of the day. So please, guys, you know, that's Mr. Ochoa and Ms. Price really hit on that, and so did Dean Morgan doing your classwork, because sadly, we've in the past had some students that just really didn't understand how it all worked together and really got excited and involved in their job at the mine, forgetting the fact that there's that other part of responsibility and their due diligence. Piggybacking off of that, that is an everyday, in every way, job interview, period. You are applying for a job with Freeport-McMoRan, not only here on Yavapai College, but also over when you are going there. You need to show up on time. You need to communicate with them if there's issues there, the same as you would with Yavapai. I know I'm sounding like the mom, and I am kind of like the mom, as Dean Morgan calls me, the den mother. True statement. True statement. You can run, but you can't hide. Pretty simple. So I'm here for you all the time. I'm up front in the front of CTEC. Don't become impatient if you call and leave me a message and I don't get back with you until the next day. But please leave me a message, because some of our systems are really good at that. And I not only get it from you on email, but then I get a Zoom text. Really nice. So I think that's all of the on and on that I can go for.
All right, we got to keep rolling here, Steph. Thank you for that. I want to mention one thing. We're gonna move you into your break rooms, or I mean, into your breakout sessions now. We'll be starting with Ed Kessel in the diesel, followed by electrical, and then followed by advanced manufacturing instrumentation. The final word I want to say right here is there's one other important piece of information you need to understand. Just because Freeport pays for this doesn't mean that you are not eligible for financial aid. It's a critical mistake that students make not to apply for it, because you can get financial aid on top of what they do to scholarship you in this program. So I highly encourage you to fill that FAFSA form out at your financial aid application with the federal government. And I can tell you that almost everybody who fills it out gets something. Some of you will get the max and some of you don't, but that helps with living expenses and other things, you know, gas, food, any of that kind of stuff. So a lot of our students think because Freeport scholarships them, they're not eligible for that. And you are. You are also eligible for college scholarships. Once you do the FAFSA form, if you keep going and fill out another application that takes no more than about 15 minutes, you're eligible for other scholarships. So take advantage of every avenue you have on the financial side of this to get you through. We know it's tough out there right now to live and stuff, But I want to make sure you hear me say that, because too many times students forget, and then there'll be a year in the program and say, oh, I didn't know I was eligible for financial aid. So there you go. With that, I'm going to begin to ship this out into breakout rooms now. And the first breakout room you're going to go to is with Ed Kessel and Diesel, and James Boss will be filming his lab. So we'll want to make.
I'm sorry, John. Actually, no breakout rooms. They're just going to start talking.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, we'll just go now with.
I just don't want to confuse anyone. Thank you.
Yeah, with Ed and James on Diesel. So you guys are up.
James, I think you're muted. There you are. Now we can hear you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Jim?
James, can you hear us?
Jim, are you able to screen share?
I'm off.
You're off?
Me
Okay,
too.
let's come back around then. Jim, we'll come back around after this. So let's go ahead and go with Rick. If you're ready to go, let's go.
Ready. All right, everybody, my name's Rick Peters. I run the electronics, electrical and instrumentation program. It's just a fancy word for industrial electronics. Now, some of you are probably a little overwhelmed with everything this morning. There's been a lot of you must, you will, you need to, rah, that kind of stuff. And that's, somewhat of that's true. But I just want to tell you that at least in my program, I've never had a student that came into the program that gave it their best shot that didn't make it through. I actually created the E&I program for FMI 13, 14 years ago. And we've been very successful with it, and pretty much I can get anybody through it. Wanted to clear up a couple things. Number one, this is open pit mining, not underground mining. All right, so think Fred Flintstone, right, and the little thing with the dinosaur, that's open pit. All right, so there's none of this underground stuff. Just wanted to get that out of the way right off the bat. The second thing is that none of us, Ed or Chuck nor I, none of us teach mining, right? We all teach our specific disciplines. And what that means is that even though you get this degree, it doesn't lock you into a career in mining, okay? That's not a bad thing. Most of our interns that succeed in the program do in fact end up working with FMI because the money is excellent and they've got a world-class benefit package. And so a lot of them end up there, but you are not restricted to that. My program in particular is very broad-based electronics, and you can pretty much work anywhere in the field with that. I do want to make it a point that the electronics program, John's mentioned this a couple times, it's very rigorous. There's a lot of outside work that needs to be done. A lot of that has to do with the theoretical side of electronics, and that is, unlike Ed and Chuck, who can take a machine apart and show you the individual pieces and you can touch it, I can't do that in electronics. All right, it's kind of like being a doctor, that where all your patients, all of their bodily fluids are invisible. It's that kind of a thing, right? So you can't see anything. We have to use specialized test equipment, digital meters and oscilloscopes and spectrum analyzers and all sorts of stuff to go in there and actually see what's going on. I also want to make it real clear that I use math. We use math every day. Math for us is a tool. It's just like a screwdriver. And I never ask my students ever to do a computation if it isn't to succeed at something, right? And so here's the deal. If you look at an electronic schematic and your job is to fix that, because that is what we do. If you go into that schematic and measure at a point somewhere and you see a voltage level, you see a 100 millivolt peak to peak signal riding on a 12 volt offset, the question should pop into your head, is that good? Is that what I should see there? And that's my point. If you don't know electronics theory and you can't calculate what's there, you might as well not look. So one of our credos is I will not measure a circuit parameter without first knowing what should be there. Otherwise, what are you going to do? So that's why we use math. Now that I've scared you with that, my undergraduate minor is mathematics. I've had just about every math course known to man, including all the way up through calculus, and I am an engineer, and yay. But the deal is I will teach the math you need right along with the coursework. So if you're a little bit rusty on it, again, anybody that gives it their best effort, we can get them through the program. But there is a lot of study involved in the electronics curriculum. Frank mentioned this, John mentioned this, there's work that you have to do between classes. And some of our first year classes are twice a week, like Monday and Wednesday, and you've got another class on Tuesday. So, I mean, it's like an every night homework kind of thing with us, because we have so much to get into your heads in such a short time. One of the analogies I use all the time is if you've seen someone raking up leaves in the fall and they're putting them in a bag, and the bag starts to get full and they grab that bag and they put their leg in there and stomp down on those leaves. Okay, so that bag is your brain and that's my foot stomping stuff into it, right? That's the way we work. I once had a student when I taught at Eastern Arizona College at graduation. He came up to me and said, "Mr. Peters, I feel like I got a 4-year degree." And I said, "Hey," and he said, "It wasn't a compliment." And I went, "Well, you got a job, didn't you?" And he said, "Yes, I do." So there you go. Speaking of jobs, all right, I have had students all over the place, some in mining, some not in mining. This is a really good paying career. Most of my grads that have 4 years experience are making 6 figures. 4 years of experience, 6 figures. I have one young man that has 7 years of experience. I just heard from him the other day. He's out in California working as an engineer with my 2-year degree, and this year he'll make $220,000. So again, there's a whole lot of money to be made here, especially if you go into the process control part of it. You all know what process control is. Every time you use cruise control in your car, that's process control. The process you're controlling is speed, right? And so in factories, everything is automated. I mean, the example I always give is the Cheerios. The folks at General Mills, there's not a bunch of little tiny people making little tiny Cheerios with dough and stuff, right? These are huge, gigantic machines, and they use ratio control to mix dry ingredients with water, and they poop them out onto little pans, and they bake them, and they shove them in boxes, and nobody touches that stuff. A human doesn't even touch that stuff, right? Well, all that automated control, that's what process control is. And that's one of the specialties of our program, one of the very few institutions in the state that actually teaches it. And I've got a little bit on the lab video I'm going to show you that talks about that. So really good money. You can go anywhere. You can go anywhere in mining. If you want to go to Australia or Canada or, you know, you name it, Mongolia, have at it. The program is very broad-based, as I mentioned. So we don't teach mining. The first year is almost all basic electronics. It's AC, DC, active devices, beginning digital, advanced digital. And then the second year is systems, where we take all these little building blocks and put them together. So we've got electronic communications and process control and motor control and troubleshooting. And so by the time you're done with this whole program, you can really go anywhere you want to go in the field of electronics. You can stay at FMI and have a full career there and retire a rich, happy person, you know, or you can do that someplace else. It's wide open. I'd like to show you my lab now, if I may. I will will share my screen. Can you see that, everybody? I'm taking that as a yes, and let me play this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best equipped lab in the state of Arizona. We've got about $1.4 million worth of equipment in this lab. Got over 40 stations, 30 sets of benches. Can you start that over? Can you start that over? Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best equipped lab in the state of Arizona. We've got about $1.4 million worth of equipment in this lab. Got over 40 stations, 30 sets of benches, roughly divided into this half, which is basically our freshman benches. We have right here is a typical experiment, digital experiment that students are working on right now. And right here is a typical, if you can see it all, there you go, analog experiment. That's basically a positive clipper and a clamper circuit, wave shaping circuits that we deal with. You'll notice that all of the equipment in here is industrial quality, state of the art. This is all Agilent Tektronix, etc. Nothing educational here. I mean, it's all industrial strength. This is the sophomore side of the lab. Each one of these lab stations set up with spectrum analyzers, RF generators, frequency counters, arbitrary function generators, you name it. We've got it, all good stuff. Right here, these are PLC stations that we use. Students will actually program PLCs and hook up equipment, the switches, etc., lights, so they learn PLC programming. All part of our course. That's our rotary parts carousel. It actually contains a lot of the parts that you can build just about any circuit with. Trusty refrigerator, very exciting. This is a motor control trainer. I'm going to sit down here for just a second. And I built these for my students because motor issues, typically we work with 480. And 480 can be really dangerous. So these are all designed to work off of 24 volts. And what you see here is a sealing circuit. I've got a motor hooked up right here. This is a contactor right up here. I've got power applied, and I've just got a sealant. If you watch this contactor up here, it'll suck in, and this motor will turn and it will stay on. And I can stop it. Doesn't seem very exciting, but the whole idea here is if I lose power, my motor stops, and when I reapply power, it doesn't start up again. So this is a 3-wire control circuit, which is what we use across the industry anymore. The old ones were two-wire circuits, and the problem with those is if power went out and then it came back on, the motor would come back on, and people got hurt doing that. So we've gotten around that. One of the really nice things about these trainers, see if I can get you, yeah, there you go. Sorry about that, winking around a little bit. The back of these guys are set up with a full set of fault switches so that I can open and short every component on here. So basically, you build the circuit, I break it, you fix it, I break it, you fix it, we go back and forth. And so by the time you're done with this course, you will have experienced most motor control problems, and you've figured out how to fix them, and you've worked, sorry about that, safely with 24 volts, which is not going to hurt you. This side of the lab, these are process control trainers that I built. Here's a typical station. One of these trainers is around $45,000 worth of equipment. This process control stuff is not cheap. Over on the left here, this is a Fluke documented process calibrator. This is a Hart 475 communicator, and in between is a smart transmitter. And I've got it hooked up right now. I've got 12 milliamps going in. It's 50 degrees. It's 12 milliamps. It's halfway. This is a 4 to 20 milliamp loop that we use throughout industry. And if you'll notice, it says 50 degrees here. This is 49.947 degrees, 11.991 milliamps, 11.992, pretty close. And this guy is actually mimicking the same thing. Sorry, I must must have just gotten restarted. But anyway, it's got a little beating heart on it that basically says everything is happy. And there you go. You can see it right here. A little beating heart up on top. 2 on mine. Love it. Pretty focused slow. There we go. Now up here you see the little beating heart. And if I look at my overview, it will tell me it's not disconnected. It will tell me the same stuff. It'll say 11 milliamps, 12 milliamps, 50 degrees, etc. And again, all of this stuff here is industry quality. This is typically the same stuff that we're using at the mine. It's the Foxborough differential pressure transducer up on top, about $5 grand. Stuff is just crazy expensive. We're one of the few colleges or universities in the state of Arizona that teach process control because, amongst other things, it's very expensive. My 10 benches right here, I've got about $500,000 worth of equipment right here. It's also tough to teach because there's some slightly tricky math in there. And that's it's all part of the fun. Over here, we've got our robots. Sorry about the bouncing around. You can see we've got quite a few of them. These are phonic 6-axis industrial robots with infrared vision. Robotics is an optional course in the mining certificate and degrees. A lot of our pre-engineering students take this. Did want to mention math briefly, and that is, to me, the math is the same as a calculator is the same as a screwdriver. It's a tool that we use to accomplish things. And in electronics, we have to calculate what should be there before we actually go and look at the circuit parameter. Otherwise, we're not getting very far, are we? So that's, sorry about the bouncy part. That's the bulk of the equipment in our lab. We've got way back here behind that wall, we've got 480 volt motor control centers. That's why it's all locked up in there, because it's dangerous. And we use, we're very strict on safety precautions here. Latoto, lockout, tagout, triad, industry standard, to make sure that generally what we work on is de-energized equipment, which is interesting. The dichotomy between the two, industrial electronics, your circuits are often off, and in regular electronics, they're almost always on, because it's awfully hard to troubleshoot something if the power's off, isn't it? So that's a quick overview of the lab. You're welcome to stop by for a personal tour if you want. Just hook up with me an email. It's rick.peters@yc.edu. I'd be happy to chat with you during my office hours, or just walk you through the building and show you what's going on here. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.
There you go. So as you can see, it's quite the lab setup. That heart communicator, the big difference that's called a smart system versus a dumb analog system. And a smart system is like having a doctor sitting next to you, poking you in the shoulder every 2 seconds, saying, "How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?" It's pretty annoying, but it lets us see what's going on before problems happen in the field. That's pretty much what I got. Questions? Really, ask away. I'm here to answer them. No? Sounds fun? That's all I got, John.
We'll come back around at the end if anybody has any questions. I'm going to move on to Ed now and Diesel. Zach, I have Ed's at a distance, and I also have James in his lab. It'll show the lab on the camera, but Ed said he can't unmute. So I got to know if you can do that on your end, Zach. It would be both Ed and James right now. Okay, so Ed, your son, I hear you now. How about James? There we go. I think we're good.
Yeah, hand over to James and I'll take it from there.
Okay.
Okay, Ed.
James, thank you so much for being there, buddy. Good morning, everybody, and thank you. Thanks for everybody from FMI and Stephanie and John for putting this all together. This is the diesel shop. Jim is panning around there. We were really fortunate, thanks to John's diligence. We just got 6 brand new Tier 4 final Cummins engines from 6.7 liter up to the X15s. They're all Tier 4 final. You can see those lovely after treatment systems stacking up there. So we go through all of the functions on today's modern after treatment systems, digital fuel injection, computer controlled operating systems. And unfortunately, that black tank right there in front is a DEF tank. Whether like it or not, we're blessed with having diesel emission fluid. So we get to deal with all that too. And I teach you the shortcomings and the longcomings of that. Jim, pan around a little bit to your left there. That truck right there next to Jim is one of our Freightliners. We go through, that's got a CAT engine in it. We go through air brakes, hydraulic brakes, disc brakes, ABS systems, starting and charging, all the functional CAN bus controls on CAN bus electrical systems. Back in the back corner back there behind the Empire sign is the other 4 of our new Cummins engines up to the X15s. So we go through all the top ends of those, all the electronics, all of the digital function and controls. The labs there around to the left, you see the tabletops and all the engines. We're fortunate to have 4 CAT engines that we take apart every fall semester. We go all the way down to the cranks, mic them, build them back up, make sure they run. We've got 4 Cummins engines of the smaller variety. You see the big transmission there on the table. We go through drivetrains, manual transmissions from the little ones up to the big ones, and all the idiosyncrasies, clutching systems, driveline systems as well. I mentioned starting and charging systems. There's quite a bit of time spent on starting and charging the electrical systems. But it's really a totally hands-on course. There's no, there is some classroom. There is a fair amount of classroom time, and as Stephanie and John alluded to, it's not all about turning wrenches. You gotta get in there and do the classwork time too. It's almost 1 for 1. So there's a lot of theory, but it's as modern, as up to date as we can get it. We're really fortunate to work with the folks from Empire CAT. They keep me supplied in some new engines and some new technology and learning aids. Cummins has supplied us with a great amount of material. Their operational diagnostic systems, all the latest computer controls. So we're really fortunate to have everything. So all I need you to do is show up with some safety glasses and closed-toed shoes and a good attitude, and we'll get right into it up to our earlobes. The air conditioning course gets taught in the summer. Bill Ham will take care of that, but I'm there. I'm your go-to person the other 2 semesters out of the year, and there's no shortage of things to get into and keep your time occupied. So this is our corner of the world. A lot of projects, a lot of things to work on, and if you guys have any questions, come see me. You can email me at edward.kessel@yc.edu. I see with somebody who's already, I see a chat line there. You wouldn't have any real problems at all. There's really not a whole lot of difference, Nick. The transferable skills really, the only difference is I think the diesel engines are more meticulous. It's kind of like what Rick Peters was saying about electronics. These engines are big and heavy, but they're extremely precise. That's one reason why they last so long and put up with so much. That after treatment system right there that Jim's showing you, there's a lot in the electronics in there. It looks big and ugly. It looks like it's a jetpack that came out of some sort of an aircraft, but that's actually a Caterpillar after treatment system. So we teach you guys how to take all that stuff apart, what all those sensors mean. And once you get a good grip on it, it's no different than the automotive. It's just a little bit bigger and sometimes a little bit more precise. Cleanliness is everything on these. We have to be absolutely hospital clean on this stuff. And that's how we teach you guys to work out in the field, is when you can dive into it and when you really shouldn't. The difference between servicing an individual module versus doing a complete teardown. So diagnostics is a big key in what we do. So any questions, you guys know how to find me. Please come by. You can talk to some of the other folks out at FMI. We've got a lot of students out there, and I'm very, very fortunate to have a great crew every semester come through. They become like a family to me. So I really greatly appreciate you guys. And Frank and Theresa, thank you so much for everything you guys do out there too. That's it for me, John.
Thanks, Ed. Chuck, we're going to turn it over to you then as the final rotation. And Chuck is going to introduce you to our advanced manufacturing and industrial maintenance program. Chuck, have at it.
All righty. Well, I'm Chuck Allman. And like John said earlier, I do have some experience in mining. And much like Rick said, we don't teach you to mine. We teach you a trade that applies well in mining. It's a good career path. In this program, right out of the gate, you start out, well, with all the programs actually, you start out with MET 150, that is your MSHA training. When you complete that at Baghdad, you have to make a copy of your 5023 form and get it to me if you want to pass that course. And about third week into the semester, grades come up, I submit them. If I have it, you pass. If I don't have it, you don't pass. I chase these every year. Got to have it, folks. And whatever program you get into, you will end up getting to know me, because I teach the welding portion, and I teach the pneumatics, hydraulics, and I teach the rigging that's in all the programs. So we'll get to know you. In the advanced manufacturing or the industrial plant, the first class out of the gate in the semester is industrial shop practices. You're going to learn about tools, hand tools, power tools, and shop equipment, your drill press, band saws, that sort of stuff. But it's not, this is a screwdriver. It's the proper use, it's how it's maintained, it's really in depth. Everything from being able to sharpen a saw to maintaining a hand plane or a power plane. It's pretty beneficial if you're in a mechanical trade. You'll get pumps and piping. All of the families of pumps, piping systems, valves, filters, traps, checks, all the different components of that. You'll get pneumatics and hydraulics. This is an across-the-board hydraulic pneumatic program, meaning I don't teach you, this is a CAT system, so you get this CAT part and you put it, no. We troubleshoot it, what it should do, what the parts are, what the components are, how they operate, what to look for, all the way through. There's SMAW, ARC, and GMAW welding, which is wire. There's welded metal fabrication, which is a full fabricating course where you build something. You learn to set angles, you learn to tack, you learn to weld, you learn to finish, square and plumb. You're gonna learn gears in the troubleshooting. Gears, alignment, drives, V-belts, flat belts, couplings, chains, all the way through, and how to set those to within 1/1000th of an inch. How to true things and plumb things and get them on a parallel track. Machining, you've got in this program, you have CNC machining, which is computer numeric control. But you also have manual machining. That's the old school mill lathe. You learn to grind your own tools, build something from stock. What else we got in here? We got in the rigging, you learn to handle loads, heavy loads, light loads, how to properly rig them so that they can safely be handled. Troubleshooting, rigging, you're going to get SolidWorks, which is a CAD program class. It is actually a really good class. I took it myself. It's really, really good. It helps you design and be able to blueprint stuff. If you're in this, you're gonna use blueprints. You're gonna draw blueprints. Blueprints in mechanics, they're inseparable. You can't divide it. No matter what you go into in a mechanical field, you have blueprints of some sort. So you need to be able to read them, understand them, and apply that. So you can see my shop in the background, and I have hydraulic equipment and machining equipment, and it's really kind of a little bit of everything. It's kind of a jack of all trades, and we cover the full gambit. All right, and you get a little bit of electrical training in the advanced manufacturing. It's really a complete program. So that's about all I got, John. Questions?
Okay, and also CNC machining, Chuck.
I did mention the CNC machining.
Okay. So I don't know if anybody has questions. I'm going to the chat room right now. I see something in there. It says, we are currently in welding program at YC. Do we have to take the welding program at the mine? No. What we do is we evaluate, we do course substitutions. So if you've already had welding, that's real common for us. We'll just do a course substitution so you don't have to repeat it again. So we're really good about, if you've already taken classes, which a lot of times some students have, we're going to make sure that your credit applies for that. We're trying to get you through this as reasonably as we can in here. Okay. All right. I see a hand up. Is that Sebastian? Did you have something you want to ask? You're muted.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just have a question about the when we apply and everything. So that we apply fmijobs.com on the 25th to 8th, right? Then after that, how long until the interview and all that?
I'll go ahead and let Theresa answer how that's going to happen. Can you unmute Theresa, Zach?
I think she might be gone, John.
Nope, I'm here. I
There
was
you are.
muted. Yeah,
There you
I was muted. Yeah, I just have my camera off. Sorry. So technically, we're hoping to have the posting up next week. So it's not the 25th, and I apologize. That's always just kind of like a tentative. We kind of put it out that way just in case, but the idea is to have it open next week, and then you'll get an email from the college letting you know. Yes, it's fmjobs.com. And the length, it's going to be, we usually leave it open to about March, but we just know that we'll probably start interviewing mid-March and do our first group, and then our second group is usually at the end of March, because we need to get you through everything and ready to take those summer classes, because you have to be through everything before you can take that summer class. So
Okay.
It should be around mid to end of March.
Okay. And for the course, when we apply, is that when we pick it, or at the interview? How does that work?
So during the interview, that is one of the first questions I ask you. Where do you want to go? And then I also ask for a second, because sometimes, and it happens every year, either we've got a bunch of diesel guys or we've got a bunch of electrical guys. So I always ask for a second, just in case that one gets full, and I can offer you a second, a second area to go in,
Okay.
So yeah, so just have that all ready for you.
Okay.
And don't leave, Sebastian. To Theresa's point, and I just want to wrap back around this. Please, 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 guys, watch your emails, not only from FMI, but from Yavapai College. That is how we communicate all the time. That is where you're going to have information that maybe came on an email so you can remember it, but you can also refer back to it. Please, 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 please read your emails from all of us. And just a touch point, as Dean Morgan would say, this all has to be finished by May because your classes begin in June.
Yeah.
So those are just some timelines, guys.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm going to tell you is that when we do send stuff, a lot of times it does go into your spam. So make sure you're checking your spam too. Okay. You know, and just periodically look in there just because it has a tendency to go there.
Okay, Wendy, you want to say something about applying?
Just, and I want to let you know, if you have not applied to YC in the past and you're going to be a new student with us, I do have someone, and we'll be sending out an email on Monday that everyone will get with more information, but I will have Rebecca's email information there, and she will be the person that if you have questions or need help with the application or anything with financial aid, she will help walk you through all of that. She will be your contact person at YC just to get you going. And then once you're through that process, Stephanie is your lady. So just so you know, there is one person. She'll have appointments. If you have any questions, you can meet with her and have time with Rebecca.
And I would like to back that statement. Guys, this is the first year that we've really, actually, this is the first year that Yavapai College really has had a collective support system on that front end. And it's pretty doggone good. And when these ladies get you through the admissions process, they are the whole package. You're not obligated to anything or anything. What they want to do is make sure that you are whole. So then when it comes to things like signing up for the internship, you're not missing a piece that then pushes you further delayed or whatever. Please, first rattle out of the box, Miss President and Miss Rebecca, she is assigned to our area. Please, please, please pay attention to what they tell you. And when they're comfortable that you're able to move forward without any delay, that's when they will hand you off to me. So thank you, Wendy, and thanks for Rebecca in advance. Dean Morgan? He's frozen.
I think he froze on us.
So we did get a question that somebody asked, and they were saying that you know, am I 50 years old? Am I too old? Not at all. We and I can say there are a lot of our workforce that is over 50. Now, granted, we've got a lot that are younger, but we've got lots that are over 50, and as long as you are passing our physical, and you know, and that it can be, some of these jobs can be you know, physically demanding, and that's why we have the physicals that we have to have you guys go through. And as long as you pass that, I don't see a problem at all.
Nor on this.
That's a good point. We've actually had early on in the program a 62-year-old that actually started at 62 and worked well into his 70s at the mine before he ever retired. So we're not age discriminatory. We legally can't be. It's just whether you're physically can you handle the job and stuff. So you know, we just need people that are hardworking individuals. So I want to kind of get ready to wrap this up, but let me ask this question to some of you that are applying. Should you apply for financial aid? Yes or no? Yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, you should.
Yes.
Don't
Free
leave
money.
Don't leave that money on the table. Yes, free money. That's right. Don't leave that money on the table. Should you apply for scholarships? In addition to Freeport? Just say yes. There you go. Yes. So that's what we're trying to tell you is we want to make sure that you are taking advantage of everything that's out there. It's amazing to all of us how much money is continuously left on the table because students think that you have to be a 4.0 brainiac. That is not what this stuff is about. There's many scholarships. As a matter of fact, the majority of the scholarships are based on, you know, financial need and to help you get through. So we want to make sure that we're encouraging you to do that. Take the time to do it because you're going to find at some point in time you may need it. You know, stuff happens. You might get a flat tire. You might, you know, whatever. And that helps, guys. So please take advantage of it. With that, I'm going to just leave it open for a minute or two here for any other questions people might have, and then we'll wrap it up just a final next step thing, which is, again, you pay attention to your emails. That's going to be the key. And make sure that the email that you submitted when you registered is the one you're looking at, because that is where we're going to send the emails beginning on Monday to you. Pay attention to those emails. If you have multiple email addresses and you're using a different one, then that won't help us. We're gonna go with the one you registered with. So do we have any questions from anybody? You can ask anyone in the group a question right now. We'll just give you a few minutes. You can ask professors or Freeport or any of us. If you don't, or you can put it in the chat room if you want.
I have one question.
Sure.
So I am currently probably for Miss Wilcher. Is that how you say your name?
Right here.
And Mr. Peters. I'm currently about 15 credits away from finishing my engineering associates. Would it be beneficial to finish that first and then go into this, or just go straight into this and restart? And then what would be the correct?
I have an initial opinion, and I'm going to let Dean Morgan then weigh in on this. My opinion is this, my dear.
Okay.
Anytime you get an opportunity to help you fund your education and move it forward, you want to take that point. Now, having said that, certainly, again, that might play into the fact, depending on where your classes land, and your advisor would be involved at this point. Mm-hmm. But as we said, we do have students that come with a great deal of education already on their transcript, that you still are considered a year one, the year that you are chosen to join the internship with Freeport-McMoRan. However, as you go through and you progress and your classes start to fall into place and quantify you as perhaps getting your associate's degree at an earlier time with Yavapai, that's all well and good too. And that is a discussion that you can have with Freeport-McMoRan as far as your placing and moving you forward. That's what we're about here. We want to move people forward. It helps you, and by helping you, it helps the college, it helps the company. So take every advantage of every opportunity that you can, and we'll help you on the back end with that. Dean Morgan?
Yeah, Cody, what I think you should do is I would get with your advisor right away, because you're going to have a lot of stuff in the pre-engineering that's going to cross over. And if you're within 15 credit hours of finishing that, you probably have some gen eds left, I'm going to assume. Okay. And so there's that, but a lot of that stuff can go in lieu of, because, the pre-engineering, since that's in our area as well, there's going to be a lot of crossover. So I think you could still very easily finish your pre-engineering as you're going through this, because you're going to have so much overlap in it to where you could end up with both degrees. So you're in a good place, but I would absolutely get you with an advisor right away so that we can plan that out for you.
But apply to Freeport.
Let me, Steph, Cody, there's not a lot of crossover between engineering and electronics. You've got a couple, your ELT 183 course. Yeah. Robotics will cut across as an elective, but you haven't had any of the electronics. So, and basically, I mean, what I always tell my students, whether they're mining or not, is get your degree, get your electronics degree, and then go out into industry, and industry will pay for you to finish the rest of your stuff. I mean, I've never had experience with an electronics company that didn't have a great education program, and I know that FMI has one as well.
Right. And that's a good point. And it is going to be more on the elective side of it, like what he said. But I'm thinking your gen eds are pretty much all going to apply. And that's what I meant by that is we could probably, if you've already taken a lot of that, you're going to be pretty well covered, because it's beefed up gen eds in the engineering degree. Yeah. Nick, you have your hand up. You want to have a question for us?
Thank you.
Nicholas, I see you got your hand up. Do you have a question for us?
Sorry, I was working on unmuting him.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Wonderful. I currently work as an automotive technician. I saw at the beginning that the diesel program offers ASE certifications. Is this correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is that part of the diesel program?
The way it works by state law is we can't mandate that you take ASE certs. It's actually against the law. What we can do is highly suggest that you take them, which we do with every one of our automotive and diesel classes. We can tell you the times and dates that they're going to be testing for those. We just can't mandate it. It's against the law for us to mandate third-party testing. So that has fees on it, which ASE tests do. So if you have some things, I will tell you this, if you have some auto, it's quite possible you could test out of like one or a couple of classes in there. If it's all automotive, I think you probably still want most of the diesel, but there is a couple of automotive classes within the diesel. You have the potential to test out. And what we do on that is you would have to take and pass our final exam for those. That's a college policy that we have. If you pass the final exam, then you would get credit for that class. So that's an option that you have as well, Nick.
So something else. I know that the mall does not provide housing. Is housing available in Baghdad for us to pay for on our own dime if we want to move to Baghdad?
No, it is not. We with it being a company town, and I don't know how to say it. Frank, help me here. No, that's not an option at this point. If you get hired on, you'd be able to get on our waiting list in order to, to live there. But when you come in as an intern, you are considered part-time. If you're not already a current employee, you're going to be coming in as a part-time employee, and those houses are for our full-time people. Frank, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, you hit it the nail on the head. It's Baghdad, the town itself is small, and we employ about 1,000 employees currently here in Baghdad. Some of them come from, some of our workforce comes from Prescott, some of it comes from Wickenburg. But the housing in Baghdad is actually just for full-time employees currently.
Okay. All right.
And that's one of the reasons why we have the shuttle, because we definitely do not have that housing for you guys. So that's kind of our way of helping you, so you're not having to, you can do that shuttle. We had a question. Our part-time employees offered medical benefits. No, you're not. Once again, you're considered a part-time employee. One of the benefits that we do have is we do open up a 401k program for you. It's not something that you contribute to, but the company is going to set aside 5% of your salary into that 401k plan. It's called what we call an enhanced Ecap. And, you have to work with us for 3 years to get 100% invested in that. But that is something that the company does for you starting at the very beginning. So no insurance, just because you're still what we call the part-time, but you do wind up earning paid sick leave and paid time off. And that's all generated by how many hours you're working for us. You also are entitled to our quarterly safe production bonuses. You have to work with us for a full quarter, but you will get that. You're entitled to that too. And I know we've missed some of these questions, so we'll have to scroll back up.
I think there was a question from Mr. McCauley. He wanted to be unmuted.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, sorry about that. My name's using my mom's
that's good.
So regarding the whole summer process, so everything starts in June, like the interview, the application. Well, the applications probably starts the 25th and through the March 8th, right? So if I'm understanding correctly, there's one night a week you have to take each summer. I mean, not each summer, this summer to get onto the job through. How do I word this correctly? So everything begins this summer. Start in June, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but Mr. McCauley, your interviews and everything else will be before that.
Right.
And you will be chosen. It's your academic part, your classes begin in June. So you need to be whole with FMI First and Yavapai College to then participate in your classes in June. And then in June is when Frank and Theresa, do the interns work at all in June, or do they have?
No.
No, they don't. They will not start until August.
There you go,
So-
Mr. McCauley. So there you have it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
So summer is just for that summer class, and then it's in August is when you'll start your internship with us.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
So we had a question on how many hours per week is the internship. Basically, we try to keep you guys at 20 hours a week. You're with us. You're working 2 days a week. First years can work up to 20 hours. Second years can work up to 25. We do allow, like during the breaks, like in winter break and spring break, for you guys to get some extra experience, go full time for a while. But most of the time it's the 2 days, and then in the summertime we keep you guys at the 2 days. Let's see. I worked for FMI full time 6 years. What do we get? The benefits that I was accrued during the time I quit almost 4 years ago. If you're coming in right now as an intern, you're not going to get anything back, because once again, you're just going to be a part-time person. If you got hired on as a full-time person, then you would get some of that time back once you were hired full-time. I'm sorry, I'm not reading those questions all the way.
I think if they had a 401, that would stay intact unless they cashed it out, right?
Yes, unless they cashed it out. That's I would have to look into that part of it. But he was just talking about he was a full-time, and he was saying benefits, so I'm not quite sure what benefits he's talking about.
Once you start working and everything, will your job at the mine be like related to what you're studying, or will it just be like a general labor type thing?
It's related to the area that you're in. I mean, that's where you're going to be assigned. So you'll be definitely, I mean, there are going to be, I'm not going to lie to you. There are days that, you, especially when you're starting out, you're going to be doing a lot of following, and Frank helped me with this one. You're going to be doing a lot of following. There are going to be days when you're going to be handed a broom and said, clean the shop, because one of the things that we have to do is we have to maintain those shops and make sure they're clean. And then there's other days that you are going to be out in the field, down in the pit, hand in hand with those guys. Second year is when, you're going to be doing a lot more. You're going to be out on the crews, and you're going to be doing the actual work. Not that you're not going to be doing that your first year, but that first year is your first year is you're going to learn about our safety. You're going to be learning about our culture. And you're there to observe and to learn and to see what these guys do. So, but you're definitely going to be, that's what the whole point is you're going to be there with those guys.
Okay. All right. That was it.
Okay.
Then, Nick, do you still have a question?
Okay. So somebody was asking about, he was asking, the gentleman that was asking about the benefits, he said he was talking about his PTO benefits. Yes, if you do come back, our people will calculate some of that time back. Yes. So you will get, if you're supposed to be at 160 hours, you may not get that full 160 hours back, but they calculate it, and they do can't think of the word, they prorate it. So you will get some of that back. Yes.
There was a question from Carson, and I'm not sure, Carson, exactly if you need help with the FMI application. Is that what you mean?
Yes. I was wondering, because I don't really know much about that, and I was wondering if there's someone that I could talk to help me get all that set up.
I'll help you with that, Carson.
Have you been at YC before? Have you applied to YC before, Carson?
Yes, I'm at the CTech campus already.
Perfect.
I'm in the welding program.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Come see me, Carson. You know where to find me up front, sweetie.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
There was another question in there about dual enrolled that I think Wendy answered, but if you have a Y number, then you've already been admitted to Yavapai College. So if you're dual enrolled, you should have a Y number. Even if you haven't been in the last couple of years, you should still have a Y number in our system. It's good to follow up just to make sure everything's okay with that. But once you're in our system as long as you got a Y number. But you should follow up anyway because we want you to talk to Rebecca. We want you to talk to our people to make sure that you're not missing anything here. All right. Any more questions from anybody? Okay. Well, I think that's it. So next steps, you'll be hearing from Yavapai.